Two with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all four Seasons Garage Stores. 615-737-1045 is the number. And we got the, I guess, football season's here because the first unofficial depth chart for the Tennessee Titans is out. You know, I tweeted about it last night when it came out. I was like, if you've been listening to Blaine and Zach for like the last few weeks, not really much is going to surprise you on this list. I think everything is pretty much where you thought it was. The only weird thing is that they have John Ojukwu listed at left tackle backup, Jalen Duncan at right tackle backup, and they've almost been practicing exclusively the other way. So I don't know what that means. But that was the only thing like truly surprising about this depth chart. I mean, Gunnar Helm being tied into behind Chig, not too surprising. I know that may be for most people or some people, that may have been a little surprising. You know, Elikai Manor, Chimere Dike, and Bryce Oliver are your two second string wide receivers behind the veterans, something we've been talking about for a while. If you really want to get down the list, you have to go down the list past Mason Kinsey, Jaquan Jackson, and Jaquan Jackson, where's the other one I'm missing here?
Sheffield.
James Proche to get to Xavier Restrepo. So, you know, I think maybe something you could say is a little bit surprising if you weren't paying attention to practice reports would be Gabe Judy Lawley's placement. Of course, remember,
slot and outside.
And outside, but also remember that L'Jarius Sneed is injured and not on the depth chart. It's still bumping back, but I do think it's interesting that they are basically showcasing Gabe Judy Lawley's versatility, which is something he has shown in practice. But I don't know about cornerback depth. There's a little bit two different things here. Like, great for Gabe Judy Lawley to be versatile. Cornerback depth could be a little concerning.
It shows that not only his versatility, which I like players like that, it's kind of surprising, too, that he's playing slot. Usually those slender guys aren't slot guys. You got to be well-built. You got to take on some offensive linemen. You got to blitz. So that's kind of tip the cap to him if they believe that he can do that. And then
Marcus Harris exclusively on the outside not slot. But that's been what he's been kind of doing. And
I thought he would be more of a slide, versatile back and forth. But he hadn't done very much of that. So so they're doing it. You know what I am surprised at? At all the things I completely agree with you. Slater.
Yeah, that one would be a little bit surprising.
A little surprised that he, wasn't a little further up on the depth chart. Other than that, everything else was pretty much copacetic, as we've been mentioning on air. So
yeah, I would say that that's probably correct. That would be because Blake Hance being at right guard ahead of Jackson Slater. Blake Hance, who has not been practicing, by the way, somehow ahead of Jackson Slater doesn't make a lot of sense to me. As well.
Right. So I said it was
I forgot that one.
Confusing there. But, I think that's why they call it unofficial. We got to ask Coach Mack because I always get a little confused on this because unofficial, official, it's coming from the media from the actual Titans, and that's who put this out, correct? So sometimes it's just they're just writing down the names there once you get deeper into the depth chart and maybe not considering or forgetting who actually got drafted and who actually is doing what out there. So that would be a problem to me if Slater was basically saying that he's probably a potential cut guy or a practice squad guy there. So that I don't think I see that. But maybe we'll see once Cushenberry comes back and everybody kind of falls into place.
Yeah, looking at like Jackson Slater and Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, who by all accounts have had really good training camps so far, being down on the list, there's not a lot of movement that happens on most of these depth charts from the unofficial to the actual official, but those are two guys that I would expect would move in one direction or the other. I will say this. I do find it very interesting with Marcus Harris, a guy that we kind of all thought would be mainly a slot guy, is playing mainly outside, and a guy in Jarvis Brownlee Jr., who I said I thought he had more versatility than Marcus Harris, but I was like, okay, slot guy, outside guy, probably a slot guy, but he could play outside, and he's been mainly an outside guy. Is that Does that say something about Denard Wilson's coaching and trust in those players at the next level, or did we maybe underplay their ability to play outside at the next level? I just find that it's 2 years in a row where we've seen two guys that probably we all would have said, slot guy at the next level playing mainly outside. Or is it just injury?
Well, I was saying they're versatile in that they could play both, but I am a little surprised he's playing more outside, Brownlee, and I think that's all because of Snead. I think they say, well, you need to work outside because he is overly aggressive, and that tells you he's a slot. So, and I think they know that, but they go, okay, McCreary's our slot, at least this year.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to get out of, Snead, so you continue to work out there because all season I kept saying his aggressiveness is playing against him when you're outside. You have to have a lot of patience out there. So I think he's kind of working through that, his own aggressive nature. And I would see that he could be a great slot and potentially when he starts to lose a little bit of speed, then a safety. So, yeah, I think that's what they're really working on, and they're playing on as though, Snead's not here. Now, just imagine if Snead returns, now he's your first viable guy off the bench. Because I still think they need to sign somewhat of a veteran. When I say that, I'm saying 4 or 5 years or more guy, to me, a corner, if you're really talking about trying to compete. For, winning some games that, be pushing for the playoffs. So I don't know what their thought process is, let alone even a pass rusher. So maybe somebody may get cut later down the road, or you just never know at this point in time that can give you at least a little bit, at least 5 sacks or something like that. So that's kind of where I see the holes on defense as far as outside of the unofficial depth chart. I have to keep saying, make sure I say unofficial.
Yeah, unofficial. Yeah. What do you think about a guy like that's maybe coming off an injury in Asante Samuel Jr., who's kind of hanging around out there, probably waiting to I don't know what his health status is, so that's probably one reason he's still out there. Well, he only played 4 games. He was injured after week 4. I mean, he may be healthy now.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that.
But what do you think about a guy like that who has played for 4 seasons for the Chargers? He hasn't been overly remarkable, but he's been very steady, and he probably is an upgrade over someone like a Darrell Baker Jr. I mean, is this a guy that maybe you signed to a 2-year contract to kind of see what he is? Because you are going to have to eventually plan for life beyond Snead, right? Maybe even life beyond McCreary, because if you let McCreary go and you do put in Jarvis Brownlee Jr. in the slot, and then are you really that comfortable with Marcus Harris on the outside and Darrell Baker Jr. if Snead were to go down? It's just it seems like a good name to maybe just at least bring in for a workout, tryout, get your hands on him, see where he's at contract-wise. And maybe he's just too expensive right now because he is young. He's only going to be 26 in October. So he may be waiting for a bigger payday or better opportunity. But, maybe you get in on the ground floor on someone that's just kind of hanging out there right now.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what his agent is trying to get him, because this guy was a 4-year starter. He was a 2nd-round pick out of Florida State. He's got the pedigree from his dad playing in the National Football League, who was a really good player. They're totally built differently. His dad was much thinner. He's more of like a short, cocky diesel guy, which I'm interested in. He plays only outside. He never played inside, even at Florida State. So he's kind of a shorter guy, that 5'10"-ish guy. So I don't know how the league views him at this point in time. It's going to have to be a team that's a playoff contending team that's going to give him probably the money that he wants. Other than that, I think I would sign him to a modest 1 or 2 year deal where you got an option, at least in that 2nd year, you want some grace. But some coaches just aren't going to want what he brings to the table. And when I say that, I'm talking about he doesn't look like a corner. Like that, now they want these long arm, at least 6 feet, and he, unfortunately, I like ballers. He's a baller. He could play. I watched him even, I think it was 2 years ago live. I just wanted to see him on the sidelines, just see how he was built, because I was really interested in see how well he would do in the league. And he's a pretty smart guy. He understands the position. He always makes plays. Now, he gets toasted too, like most, but he's a good, solid player. So if somebody goes down, maybe they look at it that way, especially if the Titans get hot early on. I don't know, nothing against, Judy Lally or any of those guys who have shown they should be on the roster, at least on the practice squad, no starting experience really would, make me a little nervous. I like Baker. I would stay where I'm at with Baker. He showed well. Now his top end speed isn't probably where I wanted, but he understands what he brings to the table, and I think he understands that he doesn't want to get in the foot race. Now he got beat a couple times. They didn't get him. But they got him a few times, but they didn't get him. He is definitely not one of those 4-4 guys. So that's why you want these guys with this length to kind of slow them at the line. So I don't know who's out there, but those are the holes I see that are just big. I think everybody sees they need a bona fide pass rusher. Hopefully Femi can turn into that. But they had Femi on the second team, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah,
Is Arden Key and Draymond Jones getting the start with Jihad Ward behind Draymond Jones and Femi Oladejo behind Arden Key?
Yeah. Is there any other corners that are out there that are veterans?
I'll have to look. That's just the first name that came to mind.
Because he's a younger player.
He's a younger player, been for 4 years. He's got 2 back-to-back seasons in 2023 and 2022 with 11 pass breakups. Yeah. I don't even know if Tennessee Titans had one with 11 last year. I'll be honest. I
said, he's around the ball. His guy, he started in this league. I think this is the only time he really missed time was last season. Been pretty durable.
Jarvis Brownlee had 6. He led the team. It went from 6 with him all the way down to the number 2 guy, Darrell Baker Jr., with 3 pass breakups last year. So to me, I'm looking at Asante Samuel Jr., and I'm thinking, okay, this is a guy that maybe is a buy low candidate. I don't know if there's stuff that happened with the Chargers or anything. I'm not really in tune with the Chargers, but his season got cut short last year. I know he's been working to try to get back to full health. He may even be at full health. But to me, I'm like, this is a guy that you bring in, and maybe, bringing him in now seems a little weird.
For a workout,
but why not bring him in for a workout and kick the tires on him? And they've been doing a lot of that in this offseason, not a lot of with high-profile names, but they're churning out the bottom of that roster. And maybe Asante Samuel Jr. is a guy that not only can help you this year in coverage, but also next year in coverage. What do you got, Jackson?
I think if healthy, Asante Samuel Jr. immediately becomes CB2 on this roster.
Yeah, it would be real interesting who
they kick
down.
Him? What are you paying him temporarily, or are you paying for a long term? And that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
What kind of contract is he actually looking for, being that he was a 4-year starter?
He's probably looking for starter money, which is what?
$7 million?
You'd have to think, right? Although
so I don't think the Titans are going to do that.
You're hoping that maybe he panics, that camp is, preseason starting, like teams are finalizing their roster. And, if you can get him I'd probably do $5 million.
Well, you look at a guy like the Eagles, right? They just traded
the Eagles. Sounds like
Booker.
A perfect team. Like they would do something.
But they traded Thomas Booker for Jacorian Bennett at the Raiders. Basically they did a Carlos Watkins trade for Jacorian Bennett, and he's the guy that's only been in the league for 2 years, but he doesn't fit the Raiders system. He was on the outs with the Raiders. Now he's gone. Maybe Asante Samuel goes to the Raiders. Maybe that's a thing. But, you're right. You would think that a team like the Eagles would be all over Asante Samuel.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder if there's something floating out there that we're just not aware of for contract negotiations. Because I'll tell you this. I went on a SPO track, and they say that his market value would be a 4-year, $46 million deal, basically $11.5 million a year. And I'm thinking, well, that's way expensive. Right. You want to do a 2-year, 10 or a 1-year, 7 or something like that with incentives all in. And then if you play well, we'll sign you because we're probably going to have a cornerback opening. But, man, that seems like a lot from Spotrac. I think Spotrac's way off on that.
I think they're basing it off of he was a starter for 4 years, and he only missed this time. So I don't think he's going to get that. The Titans wouldn't pay $11 million. You think they would pay $11 million? No. I would. I'd give him a modest 5, 6,
$11 million if you want to include
max.
some incentives like games played, because he only played 4 games. So how this would work?
But see, I'm not looking at just the last season. He started for 4 seasons, maybe even. I think it's 4, and he was quality and didn't hardly miss any games until I think he had a shoulder injury. And so this is just like he had to have a shoulder injury. He had to have shoulder surgery. He's still going to be the same player, and he's still young.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you could do a 4-year, $11 million with incentives, and those incentives be game played because you would only have to pay up front the 4 games. And then every game after that, he gets paid, and that gets tacked on to next year's salary cap. That's how incentives just work from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, I had an incentive-laden contract.
Yeah.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't think he is going to go for that.
No, I don't think he is either.
I think he's going to go either. I'm going to go 1 year like, who's the guy we had from LSU that played corner here that was always hurt? With the Chargers, by the way. Or last year he was.
Christian Fulton.
Fulton, yeah. So he's going to have to go and do a 1 year, okay, I'm healthy, show you. So to me, that says 5, 6, 7 million.
I'm with you on
incentives to that, because I think he would go for that, like saying, okay, but he's got to be the starter. So, now you got two guys, coming off injuries that you're paying, Snead and now him. So a lot of people probably just don't want to do that. I think he's probably asking for a lot because he's proven in this league that he's a starter. Once you're a proven starter in this league, it's kind of hard for players to go back unless it's a 1 year, I'm going to show you I'm back, and then you escalate to a bigger contract, to the 4 year, whatever it was, 49 million. Wow, good Lord.
We'll talk more about this Tennessee Titans defense when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. We've been talking about this Tennessee Titans defense, some stuff that, caught our eye on the depth chart. We got us down the path of talking about cornerback depth and all this kind of stuff. Asante Samuel Jr., just for those that may not know, it was 2 stingers in his shoulder, according to an article that I read. And the 2 stingers required neck surgery. And it's something that apparently he admitted was a condition he has been dealing with since birth. And so and this is from an article back in May when he visited the Saints, and this was Jeremy Fowler reporting on it. But he has visited the Saints. He was supposed to have an early checkup in July, and I believe that's where and when the full bill of health was clean that Blaine was alluding to earlier. But if you're taking a visit with the Saints, you're pretty open for business about and not being too picky about what teams you're going to.
Hey, we'll play corner for cheap.
I don't know. Speaking of quarterback battles and bad training camp practices that may not matter, I don't know if you've kept up with any of the Saints reporting, but the Saints reporting is it's not looking good for Tyler Shuck down there so far. Spencer Rattler is, according to Nick Underhill, who covers the Saints, is clearly the first string quarterback, is how he put it.
Well, that's not good at all.
That is not good at all. I mean, it's good if you play against the Saints, but it's not good if you're a Saints fan. They may be on the march for Arch here down in New Orleans here
I
soon.
envision Tyler Shuck to be somewhat like Mason Rudolph.
That's a good comp. I like that comp.
That's kind of when I watched him, I go, that's kind of, which is a backup quarterback. Rattler, was kind of going in the second year, kind of got a lot of experience on his belt, good and bad. So I think he's probably a little more confident. But they are with a new coach, though, so all bets are off, yeah.
All bets are off.
I thought of old Brandon Whedon.
Brandon Whedon for Tyler Shuck.
Yeah.
That does a little bit of a disservice to Tyler Shuck, I have to say.
You say he's Brandon Whedon?
Yeah, just because the age thing.
What's that?
The age thing.
Because Tyler Shuck was on the older side of things.
Oh, yeah. But see, I know everybody brings the age up. I actually don't mind that. And I think it's actually a benefit, especially depending on position. A quarterback, I would say maturity, being able to grasp offenses and defenses a little bit better. So, yeah, I don't think it plays a part in my thought process with a quarterback for me. I know everybody brings up the age, but only the positions to me that require speed and agility does that then kind of say, okay, I can still draft him for a 1 year, not a 1 year, but a one first-time contract, a 3 or 4 year if he comes out at 25, and guess what? He's then 28, 9 when he's, or 29 when he leaves. Then I'm like, all right, cool. Then he can walk. Like, so I don't think it impacts like people think. Like, to me, it benefits them if you're thinking short term, and short term for me is 3 or 4 years.
Well, I mean, look at Terry McLaurin.
Come in already with your grown man strength.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. When I got 28, that grown man strength kicked in. It was like, oh, I'm unstoppable.
Mine did not kick in.
Still waiting on mine, too.
Jackson's did early on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a power to you once you get a certain age. You know that hey, I could do pretty much all I want to. So I think that then hints to some of the guys being okay. I'm okay with it. I know everybody brings that up. It doesn't bother me as long as I only sign for it. Short-term contract.
I got the dad bod, but not the dad strength. Yeah. 20. So Terry McLaurin, when you're talking about age and being able to get that that first set of contracts, came out at age 24. Mm-hmm. And now, what is the big holdup with his second contract that he's wanting?
That's why I said one contract. Yeah. And see, even though he went to Contagion, I'm not going to be biased. I would let him walk, or I would trade him. Yeah, I would, because this is business. And businesses, his game isn't built on speed, so you think maybe you can get another year or two, but that's not what he's wanting. He wants a new big-time $30 million or more type contract. Yeah. Can't do it. And you know what's so bad? Sometimes pressure forces you to sign a player like that because he is beloved by the Commanders' fan base. I mean, they love him. And so that's going to be a huge PR hit.
Yeah. Well, here's why they love him. These were some stats. Of course, we've talked about this Terry McLaurin and how he's very much an underrated guy.
The real question is just his stats. It's all the quarterbacks he played with.
Right. That too. So listen to this. He hasn't missed a game since 2020. He's been covered by number one corners his entire career. He's never had a teammate top 700 yards receiving. He's recorded 5 straight seasons of course, 1,000+ yards like we've talked about. And apparently the newest rumor is that they're going to get a deal done, and he's not really worried about the per year number as much as he is the guaranteed number.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. But still, he wants the guaranteed number similar to what DK Metcalf got paid, and that's a high number.
Wow,
if I personally think Terry McLaurin is a better wide receiver, but DK is younger. To your point. Yeah. So when you're talking about this conversation, because you were talking about speed and agility and age, well, DK Metcalf has the edge in that. Yeah. He may not be technically the better wide receiver, but he is the wide receiver with the most roads still ahead of him in his career.
Right. And that's why I said the first time contract, and then you start getting into those second and third.
Right.
You go, well, he's getting up there in age. See?
Yeah.
That's where impact. That first contract, no, when they coming out of college, like, no, we just going to use him for that first 4 years, then we'll let him walk.
It's just, it's interesting when we're talking about these quarterbacks. I mean, Cam Ward's having issues. Tyler Shuck having issues. They should. They're rookies, right? They're going to have their bumps and bruises along the way and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I'm looking at it all across the NFL. I mean, even Bo Nix is having terrible practices, but then he rebounds. And it goes back to the point where it's really hard to – It's probably us as a media, it's a hard balancing act to critique what we see and keep it in mind. Hey, it's just practice and, Cam Ward's a rookie and Cam Ward doesn't have these surroundings. Because even with Bo Nix, who has probably much better surroundings, he's struggling. Jalen Hurts has struggled with much better surroundings and coming off a Super Bowl year. I think that's just the nature of training camp at this point. And I'm very anxious to see what he does against Tampa Bay. Of course, we only get one practice. And then, of course, he'll have 2 joint practices with Atlanta before that game. It'll be interesting to see the progress, but that's what we need. Just progress, even if it's baby steps.
Yeah, man. I really don't know outside of it's just harder to get into the same space as rhythm and timing with the offense of why they're all quarterbacks, a lot of them across the league, whether first year, or fifth year, or 10th year. Aaron Rodgers, how many ever years? 20 years. So that's kind of an interesting deal. And I'm wondering, this is just a guess now that you just sit here and say all of this about the quarterbacks. I wonder, is it because the league has transformed into a passing league? So there's more opportunities to make mistakes.
Right.
Like that's why I asked you the question about a practice. How much did they run the ball?
Right.
Right. Well, in my era, running was the thing, and then it complimentary off the pass game. So if you're passing more with all this 7-on-7, everybody thinks these quarterbacks are throw them in there immediately. They'll have success. They'll do well. They're prepared much more than, in the 90s or, early 2000s even. So I would say I'm wondering if that is the reason. I have no idea. I haven't done any research or anything else. But, I mean, if you're throwing the ball more and people are playing the pass more, then hence is going to be more mistakes, at least early on in training camp. Now, I'm just interested when the tide changes because we all know when the season starts, most of the time, unless you have, top 10 defense, the offenses have all the rules in their advantage when you start playing games. So it has to change at some point all across the league where offenses start kind of revving up.
Yeah, I mean, even Justin Fields, some of his passing stats, quote unquote, 2 of 16, 4 of 16, 2 of 6, and an interception. I mean, even Justin Fields is not that bad to be worried about. And they just paid him a lot of money over at the Jets, and he's not, performing well. And it just seems to me that it's just a lot of struggles, and I think it's because there's more opportunity and you're playing against a team that gets to play against you every day.
Who's the top 3 passing quarterbacks in the National Football League right now?
I would say Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, probably Lamar Jackson.
Okay, so
and Josh Allen
right
in there as well.
Okay, so those are Jane Daniels, even if you want to put him in there 5 or whatever, whoever. Yeah. Okay, how are they doing at training camp? The elite of the elite. How are they doing? I don't feel like I've heard anything about them having bad training camps. Now, I'm not paying attention to the whole league, but I do watch, Sports Center and everything else, and, NFL, network and everything. I haven't heard that. I think they maybe had a bad day, but they didn't follow up with more bad days or average days or mid days or whatever you want to give the term. So,
Because the only thing you ever see from
Justin
Chiefs
Fields
training
is not
camp,
a proven surefire passer in this league. That's his game. I mean,
even Russell Wilson is struggling, and of course Russell Wilson's on the. But it all comes to the point.
Even Aaron Rodgers down tick.
Yeah, I mean, like Aaron Rodgers, they're chanting MVP, MVP as he's making his first appearance at training camp, and then he immediately throws a pick 6. I mean, you can't write that stuff. I mean, that is insane. Right. And I was about to get to Dixie here, and I was about to say the same thing. Is that I've literally only seen the only clips it feels like you ever see of Patrick Mahomes is when he's doing either a pass behind the back or something that's insane or a deep ball. But you only see 1 or 2 of those throughout the entire training camp. Maybe that's a Chiefs media lockdown thing. I don't know. But again, to your point, we don't hear much of it. You hear more of the struggles from everybody. You hear about every quarterback in Cleveland is struggling right now, right? I mean, Shadur Sanders struggling.
Well, I'm not going to go to the bottom of the barrel to look for his. I guarantee you Mahomes is throwing interceptions.
Right. You only hear about the bad is what you either hear about the one big wow throw or you hear about the bad. You don't hear about all the in-between stuff, the stuff where they execute very well. And I think that is indicative of how football's covered in general. I feel like football's covered in more general and you'd rather talk about the negatives than the positives sometimes. That kind of feels like how media has skewed lately. That's a whole different discussion. I don't want to get into a philosophical discussion on that. But to your point, everybody's throwing interceptions in practice. It's all about how you handle throwing those interceptions in the moment. And for right now, Cam Ward has handled it pretty well, and I think that's a good sign. We'll see. I just don't think training camp stats really matter right now. Everybody's talking about completion percentage and rates. It's a fun thing to grasp to if you're a fan because you can wrap your head around it, but there's just so much more going on that we're not privy to as media or fan to be able to say, well, this is what you should expect in the regular season. I just don't know what to expect specifically from Cam Ward in the regular season because, Peyton Manning was famous. His Colts teams were famous for going 0-4 in the preseason. Then, they win the AFC South, have 13 wins, and then, they're traveling along through the playoffs. So, how much can you really take from all this in terms of wins and losses, completion percentages, and all that right now?
Well, it started with the quarterback play. I mean, the Peyton Manning deal was they didn't play very much at all, so I don't know how much that impacted what an 0-4 meant. But I'm going to say this. Stats have a place in every category if you want to bring them up. And I do think it has value, especially when it comes to the quarterback. So even in practice, even in training camp, it gives you, all stats give you a gauge. It's not the end-all, be-all of anything of someone's success. We're talking about practice. So as AI would say, we talking about practice. So some guys have this intrinsic way about them when the lights click on and they get in a live game, play totally different. So I don't know if he's that guy or if he's just middle of the road and he's going through his lumps to learn. How much are they his mistakes and, other people part of it? He's going to get the blame, of course. Naturally, that's just the way it goes, quarterback and head coach. So I just don't get too far nervous on that side of it, and then don't get too far the other way as a Debbie Downer. So, I just think you got to just stay middling kind of on it and just be aware and keep watching to see if he's improving. I think none of us are going to be able to do that because we're not watching the film and we're not calling the plays and we're not understanding what they're trying to accomplish. So, with that being said, does he have the tools? Does he have the leadership? Does he have the mindset? So these are the things you got to grasp on. Every day these guys are all really good. So, I mean, he's not going to go out there and just be a killer. None of those first picks of the draft last year were killing it. I mean, look, Caleb Williams. How did he do against the Titans the first game?
Yeah, it was bad.
But he had like 80 yards passing.
They had what
was it?
90 something yards passing,
okay,
and they had 148 yards total on offense.
It was bad. It was like, okay, see, so, and he was the number one pick.
Yeah.
So, and he grew to then have nice, decent numbers at the end. And they weren't winning games. So you could have nice numbers and it doesn't equate to win. Well, ultimately, you get judged by wins and losses, not just by your numbers. So the quarterback has to have a lot of things go right to really help him at the same time. So,
no, they didn't have a run game in that game either. No, it was terrible.
Yeah, they shut him down.
148 total yards of offense in that game that's not a good way to debut.
Basically, it was the punt block and then Will Levis flip. I mean, that's how they lost the game. The big plays. And so it had nothing to do with the defense.
No.
So I just think, as Coach Mack would say, I think this is really appropriate. Keep your powder dry because we don't know. And then, to me, here's the biggest question, and it is going to be very difficult. How much, I can't wait to ask Coach Mack, how much do you play Kim Ward in preseason?
Well, because you saw what the Bengals are doing, right?
No, what are they doing?
I'll tell you after the break. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 105 The Zone.
Hey, folks, I've been talking about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance for years because they're the leading experts in sports medicine and performance and the team physician for the NFL, college, and high school athletics across Tennessee. And TOA provides sports medicine coverage to more high school and college sports teams than any orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. They have 29 locations throughout the state and over 100 physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. And TOA has 11 urgent care locations with walk-in availability 7 days a week. They offer direct access to sports medicine and performance, physical therapy and nutrition, personalized rehabilitation plans to enhance mobility, reduce pain, and improve overall physical function for patients recovering from injuries or surgeries. And TOA also offers sports performance training, a specialized program designed to enhance athletic performance and provide tailored training solutions for athletes at all levels. So please check out their services at TOA.com. Yes, for more information, all you have to do is just go to TOA.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is number. RJ, if you're still listening, call back in. We'll take your call. Just real quick, Joe Burrow, we were talking about how the Bengals are kind of notorious for not playing their starters in the preseason a whole ton. Since 2020, Joe Burrow has played 16 snaps in the preseason, and he played 3 snaps in 2021 in Game 3. And in 2024, he played 13 snaps last year in Game 1. That was it. I mean, he's
Coming
going
in preseason?
In preseason.
Yeah.
And in the 6 seasons under Zach Taylor, not the full thing of Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow, but just Zach Taylor, the Bengals are 1-11 in the first 2 weeks of a season and 8-15-1 through the first 4 games in those 6 seasons. And a lot of talk has been made that it's likely because of not getting a lot of experience for this starting offense in the preseason, getting in that rhythm. We've talked about it on this show that it kind of felt like maybe Will Levis and company last year should have got a little bit more snaps and not a lot of leeway just because they had a so week at joint practices.
No, I feel like just the last 5 years, even under Vrabel. So this is just Callahan.
I guess that's true, yeah.
I believe it's kind of worked. Now, Vrabel kind of eventually did a little bit more each year. He was the head coach, but never enough for me because the signs were there. Like that, it was how they started off the season. I don't know if Jackson feels about it, but yeah, I thought they always started off slow, especially a team that ran the football a lot. They needed to run the football a lot and get their first offensive line ready to rock and roll. I'm cool with the running back, but blocking and getting on the same page, they had to start off fast, and they never did to me.
My favorite was Tannehill never played in the preseason after he became the starter.
Is that true?
I believe so. Ryan Tannehill.
What about him?
He never played in the preseason after he became the starter.
He never played in the preseason?
No, until his last season where Vrabel threw him out there for the first drive, 3 straight runs, and then the first team was done.
Right.
That is true.
Right. But see, you're trying to compare apples to apples when you got that big old cojones back there. How much throwing was he doing? I think he averaged 20 passes a game. So you got to start go digging deeper about than just he didn't play or he did play. I mean, he was throwing 20 passes. I mean, man, they hardly. There were some games that I was like, dang, man, I feel like this is the 90s.
So you're saying play the players that are specific to your identity, quote unquote identity.
Every team is different.
Yeah,
and you have to have a feel. What is this team built on? Where'd Jackson go?
He's on the phone.
Oh, what is this team built on? What is the team? If you just
what's going to be Cam Ward's arm? It seems like
young team.
Yeah, young team. So play the young players.
You got to play them. Especially if you're talking about we're developing.
Yeah,
we're hey man, we got to get these guys out here. Like I would Lockett, Jefferson I'd probably start them. The veteran guys, and Ridley, and then I'm pulling them, and I want them out there with Cam Ward.
See,
that's what I'm talking about. Hey man, we got to play.
Yeah.
Like as much experience as possible, even Cam. So, and I'm keeping, that means my offensive line is going to have to be out there if Cam Ward's out there.
Yeah.
Like, so I just kind of view it from based off of what I've seen over the last 4 or 5 seasons. I feel like every team is kind of not in rhythm and flow, in particular on offense. I think it's more than just I think it's a thing in the NFL because it's not that many padded practices.
Yep.
You can't play in a game if you're not practicing in pads. The players think, oh, we won, no padded practice. Well, meanwhile, the organizations, they all start off slow, and they say, we'll give you that.
Yeah. It makes you wonder if maybe there's another reason why they added that extra padded practice. Another benefit, I guess.
Yeah, right. It could be. I don't know, but I feel like, I think there's no way around. You got to practice in pads to be successful, especially in the trenches.
Yeah. Let's go to RJ, who called back in. RJ, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing, man?
Doing good,
Thanks
RJ.
for taking my call again. So, first thing, all the Nashville people, I'm out here in Phoenix. Y'all know that. Stop complaining about it being hot. It's not hot. It's not hot. And I don't want to hear nothing about no dry heat. It's not hot. Shut up. It ain't hot. Second of all, right, for the younger listeners, man, I don't know what Blaine got going on, man. Blaine is the hit man. Go watch some of Blaine's stuff. He's all nice and mild-mannered on the radio. Blaine will knock your head off. Okay?
Yeah, that guy.
So this is my question. This is my question out here in Phoenix now. The Cardinals had the number 1 pick twice and ended up with Kyler Murray. Now we had 2 first-round quarterbacks. And, man, I can't lie. Cam Ward is looking real Kyler Murray, man. Like, just from his delivery, his, the runaround, the gimmickness of it. So give me some comparisons to Cam, how they the same, how they different, and how Cam's going to be better than Kyler. Because Kyler is like, he's mid to me. He's like below average quarterback to me. What y'all think about that?
I mean, I kind of agree with you on your perception, RJ, of Kyler Murray in a vacuum. I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan. I was going through some stats today, and I didn't really actually realize that he only attempted 520 passes in college. I thought it was way more than that. And I guess I just dreamed of a different Kyler Murray or something. That seems really low when you look at compared to other players. But I don't think he is. I think maybe you can make the case that he's probably average in talent, and maybe there was some mismatches with the coaches and the staff, and maybe starting to find a groove. But I haven't been thoroughly impressed with Kyler Murray. But I don't see a lot myself from Cam Ward and Kyler Murray in terms of really anything, I guess. For me personally, I liken him more to if you're talking about a recent quarterback draft pick, liken him more to a little Baker Mayfield myself. But that's just me. Everybody sees stuff different.
Well, it's hard because it's hard for me. I wonder how Jackson feels about that because it's hard because we know the Kyler Murray of today, and then Cam Ward hasn't played in the NFL. So then I want to then take my mind back to Kyler Murray in college to Cam Ward in college. And so I can't really compare them because I haven't seen Cam Ward actually play in the league.
And I don't think Cam Ward and Kyler Murray had a lot of similarities in college myself. But that's just
they both were in passing offenses? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the Oklahoma's passing offenses, I would look at it this way. I think that there was a bigger opportunity for the run game, and that shows up with Damian Martinez at Miami than there was, I can't even tell you, an Oklahoma running back, to be honest with you, that played with Kyler Murray off the top of my head. So I can tell you Damian Martinez, and that may just be because it was 2018 versus last year. But, I feel like they are way more pass-heavy in Oklahoma.
I'm going to just say through history, Oklahoma's always had elite running backs.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, who was it with Kyler Murray?
So I don't know. What are your thoughts, AJ?
I just don't think their play styles are that similar. I think Cam is more of a pocket guy rather than Kyler was going to beat you with his legs. Like when Kyler Murray, you think like the Kyler Murray play in the NFL that I think of is that Hail Mary to DeAndre Hopkins. He ran around for a good 4 or 5 seconds outside of the pocket. And that's not really Cam's game. I don't see a ton of similarities in their game at all.
Trey Sermon was the quarterback or the running back at Oklahoma at the same time.
Player.
Yeah, he ended up going to Ohio State, but Trey Sermon was the guy.
And he got drafted like 3rd, 4th round?
Yeah, 4th, I think. Yeah. He was here for a short time.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you. He definitely doesn't have the wheels of Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
For sure. But I don't know what his play style. I mean, watching him on tape, I don't know. I think they have somewhat gunslinger mentalities, though.
Yeah. Gunslinger, I think Cam is more of an RPO quarterback. I think when the Titans run RPOs this season, I think that's where Cam will be very comfortable because that was a lot of the Miami playbook was a lot of RPOs.
Well, watch
it actually wasn't.
I'm going to use your stat there. You said the RPOs, but hence when they had a lot of success in RPO with Will Levis, he stopped running it.
Yeah, and also
they can't stop running it.
Let me say this. And let me say this: there's this misnomer that there was a lot of RPOs in Miami. There actually was. I don't know where this rumor got started, but it's the data does not back that up.
It could just be a lot of
guys run all over the place.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Cam Ward highlights on RPOs.
It may be so, but
where maybe they didn't run a lot, but the success rate when they did was very high.
Yeah, because I'm looking up if I can find it. But I had it at one point, and we'll talk about it after the break about Cam Ward in the Miami offense. Because I do think there's a good question that I've been trying to get into Brian Callahan is when he's talking about the Miami offense and bringing stuff over to the Tennessee Titans offense. What does he actually mean? We'll talk more about that when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop, Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. And we were talking before the break about Cam Ward, Kyler Murray, kind of led us down this path of like RPOs and all this kind of stuff because, now granted, this is just pass plays that came from the RPO. But on pass plays, on dropbacks, his 507 dropbacks in college Miami, Cam Ward, only 15% of those, which is 76 dropbacks, were RPOs. So I'm going down this road, and I'm trying to get this question into Brian Callahan sooner rather than later. It's because he's talked about what are you bringing from the Miami offense, or he's been talking about how he's planning this offense, kind of like year, I guess for him, it'd be year 2 of Miami, but you know what I'm saying? He called it year 2 for the Bengals offense and year 1 LSU offense. It's like, what are you really bringing, though? Are you bringing play design or pass concepts? Are you bringing RPOs or are you bringing like smash dig routes that he likes? Like maybe it's a mixture of both, but what does he actually mean? Because if you really look at what Cam Ward did in college, he was much better at everything without those play designs. Like he was better without play action. He was better without RPOs. He was better without screens and better without pre-snap motion. Like he was better without all that.
He was
stuff.
just in shotgun and just
shotgun and go. And now he loved no huddle. He was better in no huddle. But I mean, I think that when you kind of go down through the list of what Brian Callahan really wants to do and dive into the heart of what Brian Callahan wants this offense to be, I've heard a lot of people just mention they're going to insert a lot of RPOs. I don't think we're going to see a big uptick in RPOs. It may be more than what it was with Will Levis and Mason Rudolph, but I don't think it's going to be a drastic. It's not going to be like Jaden Daniels at the beginning of the year where they were running a lot of RPOs in Washington with Jaden Daniels. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I just think that when you're talking about this offense, I think it's going to kind of feel similarly to last year's, but maybe differently because Cam Ward can excel in these non-quote-unquote easy button situations. I think it's going to be more about pass concepts, the routes that he likes to see on the field, than it is maybe RPOs and this other stuff.
Well, he needs to, kind of explain to us what he meant by that.
Yeah.
I have no idea either, but what percentage did they run RPOs last year, the Titans, just in general, no matter who the quarterback was? I'd love to know that, too. But, some concepts that you may see in college because they throw a lot more and spread the field out a little bit, you may see that you can have some success with it to a certain extent. So I'll be interested to see what he brings there because you want to make your quarterback feel very comfortable. So I'm sure there's some plays that Cam likes and likes to throw that they may have saw and said, hey, man, we like this concept. What did you think about it? And so I love that kind of collaboration amongst the quarterback.
So the league itself had an RPO rate of 3.9% as an NFL average. So we're talking about all the quarterbacks with at least 200 snaps averaged together, 3.9. And Mason Rudolph was at 2.2. Will Levis was at 1.7. So they were near the bottom of the list. We're talking Will Levis was Joe Burrow is right there next to Will Levis at 1.4% RPOs. Now, obviously, two different athletes and quarterbacks and stuff like that. But that just goes like you're talking about. He was ahead of Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, and Spencer Rattler.
So do you think, Jackson, that he's going to run more RPO based off of those stats?
I think they're going to try different things that probably lead. I think RPOs are really, really nice to get a rookie quarterback in rhythm, and that's why I think there will be an uptick this year.
Yeah, James,
you don't think he thought that with Will Levis or Mason?
I don't know what they were thinking with Will Levis or Mason Rudolph.
I think that's an honest assessment. I think that is fair.
I don't know what they were thinking.
I do think there is something to that.
Yeah.
I do think what he's saying is right because, like, you look at Jalen Hurts, obviously runs is the heaviest RPO user. Patrick Mahomes is actually number 2, but then it's Bo Nix, 7.9% RPO rate. And then he even used it more than Jane Daniels because Jane Daniels and the Commanders trailed off using those RPOs towards as the season progressed because they used it as a way to ease them in. And then they started taking it away and opening up the playbook. You saw how that kind of worked for Jaden Daniels. That may not necessarily work for Cam Ward, but I do think, to your point, I don't know. I don't know if they felt like they couldn't do any of this stuff with Will Levis, even in the short things that he actually did perform well in. Like he did perform well with RPOs, but maybe they felt like that's not a long-term sustainable solution and how to win games with this particular football team. And maybe it has nothing to do with Will Levis. Maybe it has something to do with the offensive line not being able to understand their assignments and RPOs. Maybe it has something to do with the receivers and Will Levis not being on the same page. So much can go into it that we're not even, privy to.
Yeah, well, the RPO system is built on quick passing games. So it should be easy for the offensive line, and it should be easy for the receivers, and it should be easier for the quarterback. It's a one-read deal. If not, they probably tuck and run, because your offensive line isn't setting for long periods of time. I just think he's more of a drop-back play caller. I just think he is, or a shotgun. Drop back out of shotgun. I think he's more of that than anything else. I think that's who he is in his system.
Apparently, Jackson, you're on the stream here. Everybody's enjoying seeing you today.
Yeah, because I asked him to put his picture up. Every time he speaks, he needs to be having his picture up here. So
some people are saying that they don't want it.
I do. I want to see you because I think everybody should hear who they're talking to.
Yeah. To be fair, it is Ross and Bananas in the other room.
They're saying put it away.
Yeah, they're saying put it away.
So Ross, I'll send you.
They're just messing around with you. Yeah.
I'll send you a phishing email later, Ross.
But hey, look, Vandy. Vandy Man AD says, "What's up, Jackson?" So there you go, everybody. Put Jackson. There's some people are saying put you on the big screen. I don't know.
Exactly, man.
But yeah, it is interesting because we were talking about no huddle yesterday. I brought up no huddle a couple of times as something that Cam Ward really excels in. And I was actually talking about this with Stoney, and we may have heard from some people inside the building about what it takes to run an effective no huddle offense. And let me tell you what we think it means to run an effective no huddle offense, what your quarterback has to do. Deep understanding of the playbook, ability to read defenses, knowledge and memory of which plays to call, ability to communicate effectively and quickly in quick processing. That sounds like a list of things that would be needed or necessary to have the confidence from your coaching staff to run more no huddle. Would you agree?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know if this is what I said a while back that I wanted them to do. The Callahan system is run no huddle to keep the defenses off balance. I said that first. I don't know if you're referencing that based off your conversation, but I've been saying that for a while because I said it keeps the defenses off balance. That is not actually no huddle, but it is a form of no huddle. You do it for a drive to throw people, and then you go back to then calling plays. I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
We're talking
about no huddle.
Well, we are talking no huddle, but not all the time, but. What I was specifically asking was, do you feel those are the traits necessary to run that kind of style of offense?
When I hear those traits, I go, there's no way. I don't want my rookie quarterback doing that.
But also when you hear those traits, how many of those can Will Levis do? So it makes, I wonder.
I think that's an interesting question because we don't know that answer. But I could say that I think he's very competent to do those plays.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think he can. See, this is why I always talk about offense and defense. Once you're out there, the players have to take ownership of the freaking offense and the defense. So ultimately, those are just play calls. You're the ones out here executing and doing the play. Sometimes there's things you didn't practice that you do in this game that they can't teach you. You just got to know to do. And the quarterback got to know to do, and players got to know what to do in certain situations. It's just football acumen, really. Some things just can't be taught. And so, they can only draw so much up for you. You still got to go out there and play. So I believe that Will Levis could do it. I think most starting quarterbacks in the league, even the backups, some are better at it than others. based off of Siemens systems. But yeah, I think Will Levis, I think Mason Rudolph, I think all those guys who've been in this league have run it. It's about, are you running the plays and feel comfortable about the plays you're running, or are you getting scrutinized in your helmet about every play and what to call and what to play? Because remember now, the thing is in your head and they telling you so, but if you want to let him take pure ownership, let him call his own plays. See, so that's a totally different mechanism when you have someone in your ear telling you what to call than saying, okay, I'm running a 2-minute, let me call the plays.
Yeah.
Now, you can give suggestions, of course, but you don't want to feel like you're calling the plays. He's the one out there playing. You go off of his feel. He's out there. It's different than when you're standing on the sideline and calling plays. So I think it's a field thing, and I think, the people out there playing should have ownership when you're doing the no huddle. That's why Tom Brady and all these guys, when they're calling plays, nobody's telling them what to call. Now, granted, there are experienced quarterbacks, but I think you got to trust in your players to make the right calls and do the right thing.
And maybe that's where the disconnect was for last year.
Could have been.
Lack of trust.
Now, you think he didn't trust Mason Rudolph either?
I don't know. To be honest, I like Jackson's answer. I don't know what they were thinking last year, and maybe that's a bad thing. But I mean, he did run more no huddle with Mason Rudolph than he did with Levis by like 10% more plays. So maybe there is something there where he did trust.
I mean, that
Mason
was weird
Rudolph
that he
more.
would run more RPO with Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Like
that makes me feel like there's a trust thing. Maybe it's not skill, because I don't think there's that huge of a gap between the talent of Mason Rudolph and the talent of Will Levis. Maybe it is a trust issue. And maybe it's, I don't know, maybe that's a bad thing.
Once again, it goes back to what's in between the ears.
Maybe.
With Will Levis.
Maybe it does. There you go.
Oh, man.
Hey, when we come back, we'll be joined by Coach Mack for his weekly Mack Attack, brought to you by Tours Ford, South's most trusted Ford dealer. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone.
Guys, if something's holding you back from performing at your best, and you know what I mean, it's time to do something about that with performing enhancement treatment packages from Edge Peptide. Whether in the gym or on the course, with Edge Peptide hormone therapy, you can show up stronger, feel better, recover faster, and stay in the game longer. Boost your energy, build some lean muscle mass, and heal from those nagging injuries. And as an athlete myself, I know how those injuries can affect your game. So if you're struggling with joint pain, suffering from a recent injury, or looking to recover faster after surgery, Edge has you covered. From peptide packages to PRP, stem cells, and high-film muscle stimulation, Edge is your exclusive Nashville area peptide specialist. So don't wait to feel your best, and don't trust your health to some online pharmacy there, Jackson. And remember, at Edge, your consultation fee is only $250, and it will be waived on the initial order. All you have to do is just give them a call at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. It's a Tuesday. That means it's time for our weekly Mack Attack with Coach Mack. Brought to you by Tours Ford, South's most trusted Ford dealer. And Coach Mack, we got joint practices starting up this week, but there's only one practice between the two teams. So what does a team focus on when you go from one practice instead of having two practices like you typically do in these joint practice situations?
Yeah, well, they've been talking about this, ever since they decided that they were going to come together. So they have it all planned out very well. And look, it's going to be really important for this young football team. We all know this team's on a rebuild right here, and Tampa Bay is a really good NFC football team. So just the matchups, both team-wise and the one-on-ones. One-on-ones in practice is not a zero-sum event. I mean, it's just not. But it gives you a chance at least to put your techniques out there and to put what you've learned against somebody else. But the team stuff will be extremely, extremely important. I mean, just to get a feel of going against somebody else. I was up there at practice today. They were working on today. They worked on on their kickoff, and then they were also working on their punting today. As far as they're going to do a lot of directional punting with this team with Bones Fossil, and so we'll see a lot of that. We will see a lot of that too, because special teams coaches really love when the teams get together, because they can really do some coverage work. They can do some protection work, and so it'll be a good day of practice. I'm looking forward to it. We're leaving at 3:00, so I've got my bags packed. I'm ready to roll.
There you go. When Denard Wilson and Brian Callahan and some of the players are talking about pass rushing together, what does that mean for a defensive unit when they say they're going to pass rush together?
Well, everybody, look, the pass rushing is when you make your game plans, it's got to be coordinated, and it's got to be coordinated. It's not only the people that are rushing. You got to coordinate the looks in the back end too. You don't want your back end to be telegraphing that it's going to be a pressure, and let the offense come up the line of scrimmage in a passing situation and read your mail as far as to where the safeties are, how the defensive backs are aligned, how the linebackers are aligned. All of that stuff has to go together. This team is going to have to be able to find a way to be able to do pressure and to do simulated pressures so that people don't know, where they're coming from. So that all is important. It has to be together like that, and with all of the looks, because you can be set up front and really doing a nice job of disguising what you're going to do. But if somebody in the back end gives it away, and then vice versa, if the back end is really doing a good job of disguising it, but all of a sudden you're giving it away up front. So that's what they're talking about.
When it comes to this pass rushing unit, I'm going to be out of practice tomorrow. I'm going to be specifically watching the pass rushers. What should I be looking for in these 11-on-11s and 1v1s? And also, where should an edge rusher keep their eyes as a play is developing?
Well, it depends on what kind of play it is. It depends on who you're going against. I mean, that all depends on the player you're going against, and that all depends on the way the defense is set up. I mean, you've got different aiming points, for your rush out there on the edge. If it's a pure speed, if you're lined up in 5 across, and everybody's trying to get an individual matchup, then you're going to study your opponent. And you're going to see, is he a soft shoulder guy on the inside? Is he a heavy set guy on the inside? Is he leaning heavy on the outside? Do I need to force the inside first, then go outside? It really depends on who you are going against, and it depends on the way the defense is set up. There's not just one thing that you do. That's why during practices and what they're working on, you've got to get a fastball pitch. You've got to get a fastball pitch that works for you, but then you've got to develop enough of a fastball that it's a problem that you can develop one counter. You don't just need a whole bunch of counters. That's something that's a misnomer. The great pass rushers I've been around had maybe 1 or 2 moves, but then they had specific moves that they would study against opponents. So the answer to that is more detailed than just what should I be looking at.
Gotcha. Well, we're on with Coach Mack brought to you by Tours Ford, South's most trusted Ford dealer, talking all things Titans training camp.
Well, Coach, head coach Callahan talked a little bit about before that he's using some of the past concepts from the U with Cam Ward. I didn't know if you had saw when you were scouting Cam Ward some concepts that you hadn't seen before or that would actually work in the league that doesn't get run a lot that Cam would, or had conversations with the Cam likes. Have you noticed any of those concepts there at practice?
Yeah, well, see, the collegiate game, as you well know, Blaine, is so much different because of the field dimensions. So much different.
Right.
Your RPO game to the field is completely different than any type of RPO would be in the National Football League because everything's in the middle of the football field. Now, most of the time when you're looking, the middle of the football field in collegiate football is wide open just because of the dimensions. I mean, especially when the ball's on the hash. I mean, that far hash that encompasses the middle to the sideline, I mean, that's the Sahara Desert. There's so much room to cover out there that different pass concepts. I mean, we see it with the University of Tennessee. When you spread people out, you go numbers plus splits on a collegiate field, it is spread out forever. So that's the first thing that young quarterbacks have to learn. The concepts can be taken, but the throws are different because the windows are different, especially the windows in the middle of the football field. That's a lot of young quarterbacks, all the ones I've been around coming to the league, and when they first start talking about it, they feel like there's 13 or 14 people packed in the middle of the field because everything is so condensed. So that's what they have to learn. And of course, you can take some of the things that they've done in the collegiate game, but you have to adjust it to the field dimensions. And as you well know, you did it for double-digit years in this league, windows close. Whether you're playing man or zone, windows close a lot quicker in the National Football League. So concepts can be the same, but they have to happen at different levels and different speeds than they do in college.
Well, Coach, you're the perfect person to try to keep everybody's powder dry with Cam Ward and his up and down play throughout practice with three interceptions to 2 to 1 to midday. Just kind of take us through expectations on what you think will happen with the number one pick, Cam Ward, throughout the preseason with his growth.
It's going to be up and down. I mean, he's going to look. I'm not here. Here's what. And again, I've never talked to the guy yet, but just watching him, he's unfazed by it, and that's why I say practices are not a zero-sum effect. But he's learning, and he's learning very, very quickly. I had a young quarterback, Jake Plummer, who ended up being a really good quarterback in this league. He was a slinger and a thrower, and he had to learn. But you don't penalize in practice. And here's what they're doing. Here's the biggest thing that they're doing that I like. And you can speak to this, and so I know I'm talking to somebody that understands this. You know what the defense they're going to face when they go against Denver. Sean Payton and that group are going to throw the house at this guy because I did it for years. Anytime I had a rookie quarterback, I was coming after him from a lot of different looks, a lot of different ways. That's what they're doing right now. Denard Wilson on his install, they're giving this defense free reign. Very seldom are you going to have that many zero blitzes in a row in a ball game. But it's good work. It's great work for this quarterback. It's great work for a young receiving core. And even if they're not so young, they're young coming together, and also the protection group. So the interceptions in practice never bothered me. I wanted my quarterback to challenge himself and the receivers to find out to see what they could do. But I'm telling you, especially this last week, all you got to do is come to practice and sit there and watch and know that they are on purpose throwing a lot of stuff at this offense right now.
Well, Coach, with the new rules and the practicing with the pads, how difficult is it, especially the Titans being a young team with a number one pick quarterback? How difficult will it be for head coach Callahan to decide how much they actually play in games in the preseason?
Well, that's why they're having these practices with these other teams, number one. But I think you're going to see them play. This team's got to play. They're young. They're going to play. Now, you always as a coach, you always want to balance playing and then the chance. First of all, you've got to get a lot of your guys reps. But with a younger team like this, I would expect to see them get a little bit more reps than usual. I mean, you handle your teams differently. The tone and the timbre and the experience of your team depends on how you handle preseason games. But that's a big reason, Blaine, that he's having 2 practices and we're staying on the road for 10 days. That's a big reason that he's doing this, to get some really meaningful reps, plus a preseason game. This is like having 5 preseason games now, because these practices are going to be pretty full bore. I mean, if I know the personality, and I do, of those other teams that we're going to go against, and I know what this group wants to accomplish, it's just going to be like having 5 preseason games.
Well, with Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack.
Coach Mack, the unofficial depth chart came out yesterday. Talk about what goes into constructing the unofficial depth chart from the coach's side. How much is the coaches involved? How much of it is just a PR thing? And how much should we read into the placement of some of these players?
I haven't even read it. What does it say?
Well, then there you go.
Cam Moore was running with the 2s. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
just kidding, Coach. Just kidding.
No idea.
Gotcha.
Look, this time of year, I pay no attention to it, either to the team that I was on, nor the teams that we're going against. People are still trying to what you're looking for is trying to set the initial 53, not the final 53. I could not even talk to you about the depth chart because I hadn't even seen it. You guys are going to have to tell me what it says.
Well, I mean, that kind of tells me everything I need to know, right? If you're not paying attention to it, then we probably don't need to be paying attention to it and trying to analyze it for 30 minutes to an hour like some people tend to do. So,
I mean, again, the league requires you to put it out before you go play a preseason game. I do know that.
Gotcha.
I've been involved in that. So you have to put something down. I mean, here's what I believe, and you guys do too. I believe what I see in practice.
Yeah,
I believe what I see in practice. That's why you're practicing. But as far as looking at it, I haven't even looked at it yet.
Well, to be honest, because me and Blaine have both been out practicing, been kind of talking about some of these players. We saw really no big surprises on the depth chart. So, it kind of shaped. You're right. What you see out in practice usually translates, and that's all that matters. When it comes to, I've seen a lot of people, we've been trying to figure out why the defense is so far ahead of the offense, almost league-wide from an NFL training camp standard. Why, in your opinion, why is the defense so much further ahead than the offense? Is it because they're practicing more passes than they ever had before, and maybe that's why we see a little bit more interceptions, and it's a little bit easier path for the defense to pin their earbacks and get at the quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, for 39 straight training camps that I've been at, the defense has always been ahead because it's the timing for the offense. And especially if you've got a brand new offense and a brand new quarterback, I mean, it's all when it starts happening at full speed, defense, when you're running defense, especially if you're allowed to blitz during this part of it and just keep your install on track. I mean, for 39 seasons that I've done this, every year that I was coaching, everywhere I've ever been, even when we went to work against some other people, defense is always ahead of the offense because of the timing.
Why is it specifically for maybe the Tennessee Titans in this year? Is it because there's so many new pieces typically on an offense and maybe the defenses are typically have less, I guess, more holdovers from year to year? Is that kind of why the timing is so drastically in favor of the defense at this time?
Well, look, offensive football, I mean, when you're making game plans for offense, when you're in a season, you're making game plans, you're game planning personnel groups, you're game planning matchups, you're game planning. All of this stuff is for matchups and to find an edge. That's not what you're doing in practice. In practice, they are just working on their offense. Defensively, and before I was a head coach, I was a lifelong defensive coach. Once I got the stuff into my guys, and especially if they were allowing me to my install to blitz and stuff, then all I wanted to do was see how much full speed stuff my guys could handle. It's much different than, I could really care less about who we were going against. I just wanted to run my stuff. And that's the difference. The game plan, when you're game planning offenses, you're game planning matchups, you're game planning all different types of timing elements. I mean, it's just both sides of the ball. It's just different. And again, as I said, practice is not a zero-sum event. I mean, you're not. I mean, I know that we've got people that keep scores and completions and 7-on-7 completions, 1-on-1, this and that. That's a zero-sum event. You're just practicing.
Well, Coach, lastly, before you go, this is kind of more of a special teams question. With the way that the rules are now in practice, how much has that impacted the special teams, or if not at all, just kind of tell me, but how much has that, really hit home with, not having a lot of full pad practice, and is it more about responsibilities now, and you really don't get to see what guys can do until you see them in a game? Kind of take us through that.
Well, no. I mean, they've had 4 full pad practices in a row.
Right.
And 2 days ago, Bones Fossil, I mean, I've been with him a lot of years. He had a one-on-one down the field. He had his matchups on a sheet of paper, guys he wanted to see match up on holdups and then covering punts. One-on-one, and everybody was watching. And then today, today they were working on being able to place, when they were punting, the directional punting and being able to cover and cut the field in half. I'm going to tell you what, Bones Fossil, I've been with him. He can't wait for the pads to come on, put those guys through protection and coverage.
Yeah, Coach, he's full of energy out there, man. Sometimes I think he's probably could run the wind sprints with the players there.
You will never, ever, ever catch Bones Fossil walking on the field.
There you have it, Coach Mack. Brought to you by Tours Ford, South's most trusted Ford dealer. Coach Mack, enjoy Tampa.
All right, guys. See you at practice tomorrow. See you.
See ya. All right, when we come back, we'll finish up our Tennessee Titans talk about who we're looking at practice tomorrow, and more stuff from what Coach Mack said. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone.
For many of you who have lived here a long time, you already know Eurofix has been in the Middle Tennessee area for your European car repair needs now for 26 years. We've all gotten to watch them grow. And I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. Well, we're now proud to announce the 5th location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road. And Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. So pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in the barn of his backyard of a single-wide trailer and now growed out 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loan a car with every repair appointment. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. Always on Blaine.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. I'm not sure what to expect from practice tomorrow as far as how hard they'll actually go with a big old practice against Tampa Bay on the horizon, and they got to travel down there. But, Blaine, I am just so interested in keeping an eye on this pass rush on tomorrow's practice that I'm really going to be zoned in on Femi Oladejo because I've heard a lot of good things from other people that have been out at practice about Femi Oladejo, but I haven't seen much that has stood out by my own eyes. Granted, I wasn't really looking at him, but this is a guy, I understand he's currently second string, but this is a guy they expect that will likely be an impact player sooner rather than later. So I'm very interested to see his growth just as much as Cam Ward's, because if Cam Ward struggles early and the pass rush struggles early, it's kind of a recipe for disaster for this Tennessee Titans team.
Well, I think more so the quarterback.
You're right.
But, I think what you're referencing really is about, the draft picks, the top 2 draft picks not having a huge impact in the way that you want. So it'll be interesting because, both are young and developing, especially the quarterback. And then now we're talking about Femi, who's a move position guy, who's somewhat still raw but super talented. So, we're always going to be watching those guys. And hopefully by, end of the preseason, they, look like where we want them to be and then gradually get better with the regular season. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to really watch when every time I watch Femi, then he doesn't do anything. So
right.
It's just like,
I guess I just had bad luck.
It's kind of hard to say, man, especially when you're talking about those pass rushers.
Yeah.
And only when they're running to them or when you see them get a sack or tag up or something, or get some penetration, do you really notice guys like that? So it's got to wait and see in game what he looks like. I just want to see him not hesitating, more about reacting than reading and then reacting, I think, based off of most of the times when you get after the quarterback anyway.
You may not be able to know the answer because, you played safety, but as an edge rusher, when you're watching film and looking at edge rushers, where do you like to see their eyes be? What do you want them to be following as a play develops? Obviously you can look at stuff pre-snap, but what do you think is the best thing? Should they be watching the backfield? Should they be watching the ball? Like, what should they be actually watching when they're making those decisions?
Did you just ask Coach Mack that?
I did, but I don't feel like I got the answer that I was looking for. I double asked the question.
But I
stacked up 2 questions, and I think you only answered the first part.
Okay. Well, every play, it's its own play. So to me, as a defensive end, if you have a back split on your side, now you're looking for certain formation recognition. So that means he could be out on a pattern. He may chip block you. Do you want to chip him? There's certain things. So if the back's away, now I got free reign. What down and distance is it? Okay, what is my matchup? What do I want to do on this play if it is that kind of matchup where I'm rushing the passer? I'm only going to give him 1 or 2 moves so I can kind of keep growing and getting better. Sometimes my one move may not be good enough. So I don't think the eyes are the ball and get off right off the bat, every play for that. I don't think as far as recognition is before you get in your stance, and then after things change from there, you kind of, you play check for run, and then if it's not towards you, you run away, have angles, and if not, you get after the passer. I try to keep it simple. I think that's what happens to a lot of young players that are super talented. They get a lot cluttered in their brain, and coaches are kind of giving them a lot of information. And ultimately, when you get out there, you got to say it's going to be 1 or 2 things, and this is what I'm going to do. And so you got to shorten it in your brain about what you're going to try to accomplish on this play and keep it simple. I think a lot of guys can't do it, and they just get overwhelmed a little bit when they first get in the league and things are moving so fast. Definitely was one of them. And I figured out at that moment that I got to make everything work and let me play fast, I got to put the clutter out of my head. Like, it's like when they call a play, like these plays that are real long-winded.
Yeah.
Guess what? I only listen to one part of that play. That's it. I don't need to hear all what the D line and the linebackers need.
Just whatever word is associated with you.
The DBs, right? See, so that's the same way with the D line and O line, and so then now you can focus on your actual one-on-one matchup because every play it's a one-on-one matchup, and how you can defeat the other guy. So yeah, that's kind of what I would do first and foremost, and then just play football. Let your natural instincts as a football player take over. He may not have that quite where he wants it, being it's kind of a new position somewhat. But he seems like a pretty instinctive guy. I won't do anything to slow me down. If I see on tape and I see myself stopping and hesitating, reading and all that, this ain't linebacker. It's nothing to read. Get off and get the quarterback and then get the running back. They run my way. I'll know because how he approaches me initially if it's a run or pass. Initially, right off the bat. If he short sets, then it's a quick pass game. Right, so these are the different little tea leaves that you got to read quickly, and then you go.
Which is something that's a learning process for him because he's played a totally different position. And it doesn't seem like it, but you can tell. I remember telling you when I was watching we talked about it in the pre-draft process. I'm like,
he was stopping.
I was like, it looks like a guy that's still playing linebacker. Like you could tell that he's trying to get the play to develop and then react when really he needs to be just the aggressor at some point because he has the tools to be the speed, power aggressor and maybe even just disrupt the play. Because, I mean, you could bowl over a left tackle and that changes the whole outcome, whether it's run or pass of the play.
Yeah, so, I mean, especially with all the passing and the shotguns that go on now, I think there's even more for, pass rushers to get after it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm interested to watch them, and I'm interested to watch a little bit more of the secondary. I've only seen a few thick glimpses of the secondary as far as I'm usually focusing on the wide receiver, and then the secondary just kind of pops into play. I'm interested to watch more of the secondary, see where Jarvis Brownlee Jr., how he is progressing, but really interested in that second team unit. Because this second team unit, as far as pass catcher goes for at least Tampa Bay, but also for the Tennessee Titans, are both really young players. And I'm interested to see how they match up and play because the second string, Brandon Allen has been able to make plays on them. And so I'm very interested to watch that tomorrow as well to see, and then watch them again in Tampa Bay. But interested to see how Marcus Harris, Gabe Jeudy-Lally, I don't even know who that third corner in that
also
rotation.
We forgot to mention the Titans signed the safety, right?
They did. They signed. Apparently, it's Drew Bledsoe's nephew. Surprisingly enough, and that's what people are saying. So I have not fact checked that. By the way,
his nephew. They are two different tones of color.
That's what I said. I didn't say anything when people were putting this in the chat, but I think that's what someone said.
That is not Drew Bledsoe's nephew.
I don't know. That's what someone said. I've seen that from 2 or 3 different people, and not as a joke. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have not fact checked it. But my eyebrows have raised as well for the same reason you are.
The eyebrows was raised for me is I wonder how in depth is Winston's injury or nick up. If it's a couple weeks and then he'll be back, or is it just a week deal and then giving somebody else an opportunity?
Yeah.
Okay. He somehow
they didn't need to sign a safety to me.
Is this true?
Apparently, I'm going deeper into it.
Okay, we're going deeper into it. But apparently this may be true. But I will say this. I wondered who they were going to cut for him because Mark Perry, who has not had a very good camp, I wonder if they're just doing a back end. Because this is a guy that this Bledsoe kid has only played like 20 regular season snaps in his career, and he's been in the league for 3 or 4 years.
Because he was a late round pick.
Yeah, late round pick. So it'll be interesting. He's been with the Patriots, and I can't remember the other team he's with. He's not?
He's not.
Almost.
AI got me real fast.
Maybe that's the thing. AI. See, you can't trust that Google AI. I try to tell people.
Well, I trust my eyeballs, like Coach was talking about. You trust your eyeball.
I don't know. Maybe if it was it could be a step nephew or something. I don't know. But
nah.
We never know.
Nah.
All right. 3HL's up next has been covered 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. And in the meantime.
And in between time.
Peace.